There is something about Western obsession with imposing LGBTQ on Africa that just doesn't add up. It's almost as if the West feels entitled to how Africans should process, perceive, and react or embrace LGBTQ. Now, the West has been very comfortable over the years. It has passed laws, it has made changes, and it's at a place where it's all happy and kumbaya. And we are happy for you. But then the problem comes when they begin imposing these beliefs forcefully on Africans. And we don't see the same of forceful imposition on other countries that have taken a similar stand to Africa, right? Uganda has said no to LGBTQ. What's their name? Namibia has said no. Ghana is on its way to passing legislation. And these countries have received threats and they're about to face the wrath of the West. However, there are countries like Hungary that pride themselves in being a Christian country and they said no to LGBTQ. Russia said no to LGBTQ. We have not seen the same level of consequence and the same level of pushback and backlash on these countries as we're seeing on Africa. So excuse me, who told the West that they own Africa and Africans do not deserve the autonomy of thought to decide what is good for this generation and the generation that comes after? Hello there, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Ondiro Oganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here, having conversations with you guys about Black people, our empowerment, and how we can rise up and take our rightful place at the global stage. You can connect with me on social media at Ondiro Oganga on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also follow me on YouTube at Ondiro Oganga, where I document stories of the diaspora community relocating from America, Canada, UK, whichever place, and moving back to the motherland to start their life or to jumpstart their life at a place where there's fresh air, there's so much love, there's so much kindness, and nobody judges you by the color of your skin. Let's jump right into today's video. First of all, I want to correct a certain notion out there that says Africa is against LGBTQ. That is not correct. South Africa, which is a country in Africa, allows for gay marriages, legal gay marriages. Gay people or people from the queer community have equal rights in South Africa. These are things that exist on the continent. So there's this narrative out here that Africans are against LGBTQ. No, Africans are against the imposition of American ideologies on them, okay? Africans are more than open and willing to have these conversations in an African context on African time. We need to be allowed to process these things in our own time, in our own way. But unfortunately, somebody has convinced the West that we've run out of time and it has to be now, 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 now. You understand? The president of Rwanda, when he's asked this question, he always gives a very interesting answer. He always says, the people of Rwanda, they need very few. They need education, they need water, they need infrastructure, they need proper healthcare. And I tell you this for free. If healthcare systems do not work in Africa, even queer people cannot get proper healthcare. If people are still dying of malaria, if you don't set the right infrastructure in place, that becomes your primary problem, and things like gay rights become secondary problems. And I'm just sort of doing deductive thinking from what President Kagame was saying. He's like, first of all, we have to put our house in order. We have to ensure our systems and structures work. And then now we can begin looking at individual and minority groups. Because if there's no proper healthcare in the country, then how will queer people who are highly likely to be exposed to things like HIV and violence, how will they get the healthcare they need if the healthcare system in the country is broken down? If the judiciary system does not work, how will these people get justice? So there are fundamentals that Africa has to put in place. There are fundamentals that Africans have to get over first before we get to that conversation. Another thing that the president of Ghana mentioned a while back, I'm just putting this into context before we get into the conversation. He grew up in England, and he says when he was growing up in England, gay marriages were illegal. Now that he's a president, over 70 years later, gay marriages are legal. It's taken them 70 years. Africa has just begun having that conversation now, and we're expected to make the decision today. Are you understanding where the shortfall is coming? So now let's get into it. Uganda passed the anti-LGBTQ law, and immediately they were met by the wrath of the West. They said, we will not help you, we'll revoke your visas, you're out. We are freezing you out completely. We don't want anything to do with you, right? And even the World Bank came out and said, no more money. No more money, as if it's free money. Because we pay, and Africans borrow at very high interest rates. As a business journalist, I will put it right here and say, I understand that lending to African countries is risky, but then again, these are countries that they're rich in resources, and you say Africa is the future and is developing, yet that is not reflected when you're lending to them. So why the double standard, you know? And so I can understand why they give money to Africa at very high interest rates, because they perceive Africa is a risky environment. Fair enough. But the money is not free. The money that you're saying you'll have no access to is not free. I will pay you back the money. But the World Bank say, toodles, forget it. You're not getting money from us. There have also been, some subtle threats to Ghana. When Vice President Kamala Harris came, she spoke about it. And we saw the president of Ghana almost softening his tone, because you just don't want to make an enemy of America, right? Okay, fair enough. Hungary passed the anti-LGBTQ law. I'm going to pull my laptop. Today I'm coming with receipts so that I can read exactly what the Hungarian parliament passed. The Hungarian parliament has passed a law banning gay people from featuring in school educational materials or TV shows for under 18. The measure has been likened to critics to Russia's 2013 law against gay propaganda. The law means only individuals and organizations listed in an official register can carry out sex education in school. Companies and large organizations will also be banned from running adverts in solidarity with gay people if they're deemed a target for under 18. The law also means that TV shows and films featuring gay characters or even rainbow flags would be permitted only after watershed hours. What is the difference between what Hungary is doing and what Uganda did, or what Namibia is doing, or what Ghana is doing? Protecting their society, protecting their children, protecting what they consider family values, because values are not a universal blanket. President Kagame has spoken about this. He said the global West thinks that values is what America says its values, then that is what we consider. That's why they brought Christianity on the continent, and if you were not able to take the Bible, you took a bullet, because what they say is the law, and that is just it. So you brought Christianity, we've adapted to it, and your very Christianity speaks about these things, but now you've changed your mouth, you've changed the narrative. Now it's kumbaya and all that stuff. What is wrong with Ghana saying, these are our values? These are our values as Ghanaians, and we intend to protect them. What's so wrong about Uganda saying these are our values as Ugandans, and we want to protect the family structure as we know it? Recently in Europe, there was a family march where mothers, fathers, and children went out to march. I did not hear a single person from the West coming out to condemn it. Yet these were people that were making a very firm stand and saying the family structured is considered of a man, a father, a mother, who sire a child. What's so wrong about that? Why is there so much double standard when it comes to Africa? And Ghanaian Member of Parliament of Ningo Pram Pram, Sam George, was calling out this hypocrisy on Twitter, and he was saying, listen, unless you go to Hungary and tell Hungary that you will not lend to them, unless you impose sanctions against Hungary, against Russia, against Saudi Arabia, nobody even tries to tell Saudi Arabia about LGBTQ, nobody. Because why do you respect the system and their values, and you cannot extend the same courtesy on the African continent? I wonder. I genuinely wonder, because I think that Africans deserve to be Africans in a way that they know best. I am in no way advocating for violence against people from the queer community. I am in no way advocating for the oppression of people in the queer community. If anything, they deserve equal rights, because at the end of the day, they're human beings before they're any other thing. They deserve healthcare, they deserve shelter, they deserve education, they deserve fair placement in jobs. But what I am against is forcefully imposing this ideology on people that have told you, no, thank you. On people that have said, our societies have existed the way they've existed for years and years on end, and we are okay. You understand? I'll give you a practical example. Kenya. HIV had been like a big problem, and now we're getting to a place where there's a lot of sensitization and the stigmatization is going down. And that just means that gay people who need PrEP or PEP can not easily, but they can now access healthcare because of the greater work of destigmatization that has happened. And if these drugs are not available, just in general, if healthcare in general has broken down, then how will queer people get proper healthcare? What Africa is saying is African problems currently are not aligned to what the West wants us to worry about. We need to put infrastructure and systems in place first to take care of everybody as a human being. Then we'll start looking at groups and minorities. I don't know if I made sense. I don't know if I didn't make sense, but from listening to all these African leaders, nobody is saying go out there and kill people or go out there and violate people's rights. They're just saying, let Africans decide what is good for them. That's not too much to ask. You've allowed Hungary to make their decisions. You've allowed Saudi Arabia to make its decisions. You've allowed Russia to make its decision. Let Africans make their decision, and it will surprise you. Gay marriages are legal in South Africa. You can get married even in church. The marriages are recognized by the Constitution. It will surprise you. You will really be surprised by Africans. You need to trust a little bit the civilization that you brought on the continent, and trust that it's able to do a little bit of good, just a little. Well, there you have it. I wasn't expecting this video to be this heavy, but I think that this is a very dicey topic that has to be handled with a lot of care because it involves people, but then again, it involves culture. And there's been a lot of blackmail and arm twisting going around, and it just complicates the whole equation. My name is Ondiro Oganga. You can connect with me on social media at Ondiro Oganga, or you can follow me on YouTube. Like this video, give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and tell me what your thoughts are down below. I'll see you again next time.